When I was living in pretty much like a drug den, the spirits around there were never nice. Gee, I wonder why.
Hey Hatchlings, it's Dragonfeather and welcome back to the channel. We are here for a spooky video topic that was actually voted for by my patrons over on Patreon, and today we will be discussing on how to work with spirits in your practice and in your craft and in life in general. You don't have to be a witch to work with spirits. You don't have to have any beliefs really to work with spirits except a belief in spirits. If you're new, marry me, my name is Azura and welcome to the channel. I post new videos here every week and they're magical, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below and ring the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Hopefully. Leave a like on the video if you want to see more content like this, and leave a comment down below how you choose to work with spirits or your favorite way to connect with spirits. How do we work with spirits? I know for many of us this can be a very intimidating practice, and a lot of us would rather not do this practice. And if you're one of those who would just rather not work with spirits in your craft or in your own personal life experience, that is 110% okay. But this video is for those of you guys out there who want to work with spirits, who are looking for ways to get started and engage with them on a more beginning level, because again, it can be a very intimidating practice and it can be very scary, especially if you're not used to what you can conjure, or you're not used to, or really you don't really know what you're doing. Maybe you don't have any guidance and you're just kind of looking things up online and you happened across a few videos and got interested and intrigued. Well, hopefully you come across this video too, because spirit work is nothing to mess around with. It's nothing to take lightly, and it's not a practice to take with a grain of salt. It's not something as simple as burning a candle. The reality is that working with spirits is and can be a very complex and exhausting practice, one that is not for the faint of heart and those who may be scared easily. I'm really excited that you guys voted for this video topic over on Patreon, because this is one of the practices that I inadvertently do quite often. And when we talk about spirits, we're going to talk about spirits in general, with the focus more so on spirits of maybe past loved ones or spirits of those who used to be living on this earth. But when I refer to spirits, I'm really talking about any spiritual entity in general. This can come down to being a god or a goddess, simply put, or working with mythical creatures, working with spirit animals, working with ancestors, working with, again, past loved ones, spirits of the land, literally elementals, anything. That's kind of the general consensus of this particular video, and all of the advice that I'm giving in this video can be used for when you want to work with any of these types of spirits, but at the end of the day, it is just a basic thing, and working with each different type of spirit, or depending on the spirit you're working with, is going to yield a different type of necessity in order to work with them. So before we even consider calling spirits into our space, let us discuss protection methods, because when we're going to call in spirits into our space, we want to make sure that we are in control of our space. We don't want anything else in control of our space. We are the ones in control of our space. And that's really important to maintain your control of your space. And if you feel like if at any point in time you are losing control of your space, you gotta cut the connection, cut the contact with the spirit immediately, because you never know what could happen, and you honestly would rather be safe than sorry. Staying safe is really important, and of course, safety first. That's just kind of how life works, right? Well, how do you keep yourself safe when you do spirit work? This can be done in many ways. Perhaps if you do spirit work, only do it with your guardians around, only do it with, deities or spiritual entities that you already have a connection with that will keep you safe. If you, for example, don't have any of those connections yet, or you're not really you don't really believe in being protected that way, some things that you can do is cleansing your space by using sage or Palo Santo or an incense blend of your choice. I personally prefer to use dragon's blood, of course, but you can cleanse your space this way to protect your space. This is a way to drive any unwanted energy out, and especially when you're done inviting spiritual energy into your space, you want to use this method in order to cleanse it out so they don't reside in your space, if that's not something that you want to. Perhaps if you're like calling your grandmother in who passed away, you don't mind if they reside in your space, but if you're working with a particular spirit, then maybe you don't want them hanging around after you're done with the work that you've got to do. So you want to make sure that you have an incense of some kind on hand to banish them. You can also use sound. It's a great way to protect yourself is sound. Even just yelling, saying, hey, like getting really loud or like kind of asserting your dominance in your space, that in and of itself is great protection with some types of spirits. Not all spirits will respond well to that, but in my case, many of them have, and I have not had a problem since. You can also burn protection candles, you can use sigils over your doors, you can use salt to protect your doorways and your windows.
Hatchlings, it's Future Feather, and that's because I'm editing this video and forgot a couple of like really important points that I wanted to make sure that I included, but somehow managed to miss. I really wanted to stress the fact that when you do spirit work, this is one of the main times to do and cast a circle, and to not really like overlook that, because casting a circle is literally meant to protect ourselves from unwanted and unwelcome energies. And especially if you're doing spirit work and you're trying to connect with a spirit that you may not be working with or looking for specifically by name or energy, but maybe something that you've never connected with before, maybe a spiritual energy that you've wanted to work with that you haven't been able to, this is the time to cast a circle to make sure that you do have that extra layer of protection, because casting a circle can be done with or without any materials. You can do it with or without speaking anything aloud. You can even cast a circle with or without moving your body. It can be done with simply just setting your intention and sitting still, and that is really good for those who are in the broom closet. So I wanted to make sure that I included that so you don't miss that bit, because it's important.
Anything that you would do in your own personal practice, or anything that sounds like it would be a good protocol to practice spiritual safety, then go ahead and incorporate that into it before you want to call or conjure any spirits, because you don't want to be unprotected, because they latch on. If you, again, like, you don't know who you're contacting, and if you're going to contact a spirit or you're wanting to work with spirits, make sure that at first you're gonna like work with a spirit in particular, so like you have one in mind. So for example, if your grandparents, one of your grandparents passed away or something like that, and you want to work with their spirit, make sure that when you open that space, only they are allowed inside. And this way, when you're first starting out, it's a way to keep yourself safe first and foremost, but it also enables you to learn how to kind of develop control over your space. So maybe in the future, if you're saying working with spirits of the land, you're opening your circle to any of the spirits of the land. That's a little less specific than saying the spirit of your past pet or your past grandmother or whoever, really. It's just really important to, when you first open your space for that, to keep yourself safe, to make sure that you have a spirit that you want to connect with in mind already, because you don't want to just invite whoever. It's not a good idea. Not a good idea. So the way that spirit work is, it's not just like you call upon a spirit and they show up and you do whatever and you have a good time. Like, spirits, they don't do things for free. Like, I wouldn't ask you to do something for me for free, just like you wouldn't ask me to do something for you for free. And that's the exact same thing here. So when it comes to working with spirits, you want to give them offerings. You want to be able to give them something of value that they can use, that they can either consume or that they can enjoy for themselves, because that's really gonna help kind of develop a personal connection between you and these spirits. Is when you bring them offerings, when you bring them something that either, maybe it was, you know, like a past loved one, maybe they really, really loved apple cider, for example, totally random, right? But you brought them a glass of apple cider every time you wanted to talk to them. they're going to remember that, and that's going to help you develop a connection that lasts longer, that's going to be more intimate than just, say, a spirit passing through. I know that for me personally, I've always been pretty predisposed to spiritual experiences. Not everybody has that experience, and some people do, to the point where they block that shit out because they don't like it. To each their own. But in my case, I've had very many spiritual experiences in my practice, and because of that reason, I do have spirits that wander in and out of my space a lot, and they are allowed to do so if and only if their intention isn't to harm, if and only if their intention is to get help. Because if they have any other intention, they're not welcome in my space. If they have any other intention besides, you know, kind of getting a little extra hand from the local friendly witch, then I'm not here for that, you know. And so it's very key to remember that, and that's why when you give offerings, you want to give offerings to spirits in particular. Like, you want to make them as personalized as possible, because that's going to, again, develop that connection. For me personally, when I work with spirits, I do my best to personalize the offerings as much as I can. Sometimes I may be on the go, or sometimes I may be having to do something on the fly or really quick, and I'll just use what I've got. But honestly, I like to make them as personal as possible. So if I'm gonna work with like a dragon guardian, I'm gonna make sure I have their favorite fruits. I'm gonna make sure I have like herbs that I've grown myself, if they want that. If not, I'm gonna make sure that they have like a new necklace that I can offer them, a new treasure I can offer them. I'm gonna make sure that I can offer them a song or a poem or something every time, because I don't want to call them into my space without having something for them, because it's kind of rude, man. It's kind of like asking a taxi driver to take you somewhere and then not paying them, straight up. So like, that's kind of like the idea. You want to show that like mutual respect, and offerings is the way to do that. You gotta exchange energy with them. You gotta have that kind of connection, because if you don't, then they're not gonna be around. They're not gonna keep coming. They're not gonna invest in you. That's the word. One of the most important things that we can just do when we want to work with spirits in general is just spend quality time with them. I know that sounds really weird. I know that sounds really random, but I'm literally serious. Like, sit down at an altar or a space that you created to work with them specifically. Maybe you have a spirit altar. Maybe you work with spirits during, you know, Samhain or Halloween, and you have like a space on your altar for that. Maybe you don't have a space at all. You can draw one out on a piece of paper, but you can also create a space in your mind that you can visit them. If you're gonna have spirits visit you in your mind, please, just an extra note of caution to, again, only invite the spirits that you trust. Only invite the spirits of like past loved ones or of close like family, friends kind of connections, and only invite those of the spirits who watch over you, like your spirit animal, your guardian, your guides, your goddesses, those kinds of deities or spirits, because you don't want anything else in your mind. When you go to this place, you just want to spend some time with them, and spending quality time, mind you, not just like, you know, you invite a bunch of these spirits to your altar every Samhain and that's how you do your spirit work. Maybe it is, I don't know, but I'm gonna say that that's probably not gonna be the most invested spirits you got there. What I'm talking about is probably daily, at least twice, 3 times a week, that you sit down with these spirits and you acknowledge them and you spend quality time with them. Talk to them about your day, talk to them about your ideas, your plans, incorporate them in your life, you know, treat them like you would a friend, treat them like you would kin or companions, because that's what they are after all. And some of these spirits, they may be lingering on earth, and some of these spirits, they may need your help. If you're open to that. Like, this is for those of you guys who are open to that and willing. I personally have never had like a spirit come to me needing to go, I can't say that, never mind. I can't say that I've never had a spirit coming to me needing to go to the light, because I have had spirits like that. So I can't say that, but I'm not saying that I've like exorcised a spirit myself and sent them to the light. Does that make sense? All I'm saying is that you need to be open if you're gonna work with like spirits and you're gonna like get into this kind of thing, that you need to be open to the fact that spirits may wander into your space looking for help, and that's okay. And don't be alarmed, and just like remember that like spending time with them, excuse my phone, that spending time with them, listening to them, is really gonna be what sets you apart from others who may want to work with them, or others who may just do a Ouija board and see what comes through. You know, you have that level of respect and that level of care and conscious awareness of their situation, and that's what makes it more of a personal connection, especially when you're working with, say, like mythical creature spirits, or when you're working with spirits of like the land or like locations on Earth. Those spirits are a little bit more finicky, so when you are able to give them consistent offerings, when you're able to be consistent with the quality time that you spend with them, they notice and it won't go unnoticed. So that's my advice for working with those kinds of spirits in particular. But again, seriously, just spend some time with them. Like, it's really, like, it sounds cliche, but it's like truly like so simple and yet so effective. Like, so simple and effective are usually the things that work the best, am I right? And lastly, I just kind of wanted to talk about creating a space for doing this. A little couple pointers here, that when you do work with spirits, that the chances of you connecting with a spirit of positive vibration is going to be more likely if you are in a space that is cleaner, and connecting with a spirit that is of chaos or lower vibrational energy is going to be more commonplace in a space that is dirtier.
Future Feather's back, and it's because I wanted to let you guys know that the reason why we create sacred space for working with spirits is because another reason why this work can get so exhausting is because maybe when you call upon spirits to join you, you don't really provide them an energy source to feed upon. Sure, you may give them offerings and that sustains them for, you know, however much the offering is worth for them. But if there is nothing else for them to draw upon as an energy source, then they're going to use you as your energy source, and you don't want that. You don't want to have them using your energy to sustain themselves in the present moment within your circle, anything like that. So what we do to avoid this is we light candles for them to feed off the candle flame's energy, and this is a great way to help sustain you and give you endurance when casting magic like this, or when calling upon spirits to do spirit work like this. It's just a great way to sustain yourself, and is something that should not be taken lightly, and something that should actually be done as a standard practice when working with spirits. Because if you're not going to give them flames, like active live candle flames to feed off of, maybe you can't do that. Give them a crystal, give them incense, give them something that is of solid quality energy source that is natural to use. So like fire, like earth, like water, you know, like those elements that we love so much. So please do this, it's important.
But the more that I do keep my space clean, and when I have had my space like in tip-top sparkly condition, those are when I have the most profound spiritual connections with spirits, with like other energies or other creatures from other realms, if that makes sense. But in my experience, when my room has been at the most messy it's ever been, you know, like years ago when it was like literally piles upon piles of shit, literally, I had a lot of really scary experiences that I would like classify as like paranormal experiences, and ones where I felt spooked. Not where I was like, oh, this isn't an energy that needs me, this is an energy that wants to feed off me, is kind of like the feeling that I got. So if you want to do spirit work, maybe a consideration to not do spirit work in your space if it's dirty, if it's messy. Maybe go outside and pick a tree to do your spirit work underneath, that you can meet with these spirits. Personally, I've done that in the past. For a while I would go to this tree and work with the spirits of the land. That's how I decided to do that, and I would like leave earth offerings there, and just like that's how I connected at the time. So that could be an option for you. Really just kind of keep in mind of your set and setting, because it's, when you're doing spirit work, it's a lot about vibration, vibrational frequency and energy, and you need to be really aware of that, because depending on how your energy is, depending on how the like vibrational energy of the atmosphere, of the space, of the reality of the people in your space, that's really important, is going to attract worse things. Like when I was living in pretty much like a drug den, the spirits around there were never nice. Gee, I wonder why. So when it comes to stuff like that, you just want to make sure that like you kind of are being conscious about your space. You're creating a place in order for you to have this type of experience. You want to make the spirits feel comfortable, feel at home. And if you're doing this outside of your home, then go to a place that's, you know, natural, mostly untouched by man, because that's usually the most times that you're gonna come into contact with spirits that aren't too happy, is when things have been super developed. Like if you live in a city, chances are you got lots of spirits around, but if you live in a city that's super developed, then try and find, like I said, like that one tree that you connect with, or like a bush, or like something like that, or like maybe a creek, randomly you found one. Good job, there's a park, something like that.
He's surprised that I'm back to tell you something else. So don't forget that probably one of the best places to hang out to do spirit work is, you guessed it, a graveyard. And maybe you might not be so comfortable in a graveyard, maybe you don't even have a local graveyard, but if you do, I know I have a local graveyard. It's just a quick bus stop down the road, and I can go there whenever I please, and it's a great place to spend time when I want to connect with the spirits. And not only the spirits of those who have passed, I do like to go and visit like the gravestones of past loved ones, but I also like to go there to connect with the spirits of the land, because graveyards, while we do bury people there, they're usually very naturey looking, beautiful places that tend to have lots of beautiful statues and memorials that tend to attract spirits. Who would have thought? Graveyards attract spirits. Did you know that? Work with spirits if you do not have that in your space. If you aren't able to go because maybe your space is like occupied by other people, it's not possible, it's like messy, whatever, good place to go is a graveyard.
Those are great places to connect with spirits as well, and it's really just all about what helps you feel the most connected and what helps you feel the most open to receiving them, because that's, like I said, like, it's most important to be open to receiving them. You're not going to get very far with working with spirits if you're not open to receiving them. If anything, you'll probably get frustrated and scared occasionally if that's the case, but...
Oh yes, and lastly, the best time to do spirit work are on a spirit night, and one of the biggest spirit nights that we know and celebrate is Samhain, of course, and Beltane is another huge spirit night as well. So those are great times to celebrate. I personally love doing spirit work on the dark moon, which some people also consider the new moon. That is personally my favorite because there is like no moon in the sky, and that feels like when the veil is at its thinnest in the lunar cycle. And that's pretty much when I choose to do spirit work mostly. You can do so many different kinds of spirit work on Samhain, from having a silent supper to leaving offerings outside to dressing up and going trick-or-treating to carving jack-o'-lanterns. Literally, there's so many different things that you can do that are of course on topic for that, which, by the way, I hope you guys have a happy Samhain tomorrow, but I just had to include those things so I didn't forget, and so you didn't miss out on the bits that I forgot. So yeah, back to your regularly scheduled content.
Hope that this video helped. If you guys want a little bit more of like an in-depth explanation on spirit work and how to start out on that practice, I of course have a blog for you guys in the Hatchling clan, linked down below in the description box if you're interested. And of course, if you guys absolutely loved this video and want to vote for your video topic next month, then don't forget to check out my Patreon, linked down below as well. You can vote for your favorite video topic, and you can also get all awesome different kinds of rewards on all the different tiers that I have. And a special thank you to Wish, our channel partner here from Patreon, for supporting the channel and making these videos possible. If you are interested in becoming a channel partner as well, don't forget to click the link down below to check out all the information on Patreon as well, as it really does help me a lot and makes it possible for me to keep creating these awesome videos for you guys. So thank you guys so much for clicking on this video and spending some of your day with me today. I hope that you guys are enjoying your spooky season, as tomorrow is Samhain and I cannot be more excited for it. I hope to have a video here for you guys again tomorrow, but we'll see what happens. If all goes well, it should be here. So I love you guys so much, and I'm sending you guys all my good vibes, all my spooky vibes, and just have a wonderful, incredible, lovely Samhain evening tomorrow. And I just hope you guys' Samhain Eve is going great. I hope you guys are having so much fun and staying super safe and just having a wonderful, wonderful time and just enjoying the veil at its thinnest. Stay geeky, cheeky, and freaky, little hatchlings. Blessed be, and bye.